Mic check, mic check.
Mic check. How y'all feeling?
What's going on, family? We back with another one, episode 3.
Yes.
I hope y'all got some nuggets from that last one. That was heavy.
It was heavy.
It was deep.
That one probably was the favorite episode.
You say that about every episode. See, this
I
is the
know.
problem I have with her. It's like, come on, man. Like,
I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for the stars. I'm grateful for the moon.
my little hippie wife. Y'all see what I'm dealing with.
Oh, we had to lighten this one up because this episode is probably going to be where a lot of y'all probably resonate or maybe call us woo-woo in how we navigate our now marriage compared to before.
I wouldn't say woo-woo. I think they'll understand. I think
I hope so.
they would. I think y'all are gonna think that we garden for a living, for sure.
For sure.
Based on where we came from.
Right. Now you know why we're trying to go to LA.
You feel me? Legalized.
Man, listen. But just to hop into it, this is it's not necessarily a difficult topic to discuss, but it is definitely one that, a lot of couples get divorces over. A lot of couples don't make it to the point of conflict resolution because it's easier to stay comfortable where you are rather than growing from bad communication examples or, just a lot of our conflict resolution comes from our upbringing. It comes from what we've seen demonstrated around us.
Yep.
And when you get into a relationship or a marriage, you kind of form your belief around conflict resolution based on what you've seen demonstrated before you.
Yeah.
So for us, we had to unlearn a lot of communication barriers in order to create how we view conflict resolution, arguments, and all of those things now. And we don't even consider arguments in the same respect as most people do. We don't really have arguments.
Yeah, we don't.
We
have
did, but we
arguments.
don't. We have heat checks. That's what they're called. They're very kind heat checks.
They're like heightened miscommunication.
Right. It's like going to the principal's office.
Right.
It's difficult to explain. You just have to see us in action, but it's literally like going to the principal's office. Like, hey, we noticed that you've been off this week. Let's discuss your behavior and
Right.
come up with a plan to put you back on track.
Yeah.
That's our quote unquote arguments.
Right. It's just a session to get on the same page.
Yeah.
Rather than how it used to be where, it would get physical.
Yeah.
And we'll touch more on that. But
Yeah.
how we want to open this up is help you guys redefine how we view conflict resolution, how we view arguing, the whole thing. Like our definitions are completely different than most.
Yeah.
And it's for a reason. It's because if we hold near and dear to our definition, it becomes like our principle. And
Right.
if we can take our heightened miscommunication and apply it back to the principle and run it through that filter, then it helps us stay on track and we can find common ground.
Right.
At the end of the day, we both trying to say the same thing, or we're trying to express something that the other doesn't understand. And we like to get to the bottom of that because we
Yeah.
just genuinely want to learn how our partner, processes information.
Right.
How do you think? Because that can help me in the next situation. It can help me protect you better.
Yeah.
So to kick it off, I think my definition of conflict resolution, I think I already said it, is to just get on the same page because I want to understand your root of
Right.
how you got to your point of view. And if I can understand your point of view, dang, this is my dad coming out. But if I can argue my opponent's point of view the
Right.
same way that I can argue mine, then I have an understanding.
Right.
So, and it's not to one up that person, it's not to get over on them. It's
Yeah.
to genuinely understand so that you can get off your high horse.
Yeah.
So that you're not so defensive, like, but I did this and I did that. It's like, no, but how did she feel about it?
Right.
Get to the root of, oh, okay. Now you missed it completely. So all of those facts, throw it out because
Yeah.
you missed on how it made her feel. So yeah, for me, it's definitely finding like common ground, the root of why you got to your conclusion.
Yeah. And it's like a perspective kind of pivot. And I think a lot of times, we as humans are the only thing that we know for a fact about ourselves is our perspective is valuable. Our perspective is what makes us who we are. and, you know, other things kind of build on top of that perspective, like your religion or your spirituality or your preference of food, your preference of, you know, love, like your preference of where you want to live, your preference of what you like to wear, your fashion sense. Those are little details and characteristics that make up you know, things about you, but the foundation principle of who you are is always rooted in your perspective. And people will hold on to that like a badge of honor and wear it so colorfully. And it's like, no, this is my perspective and it's right. No, it's not wrong. It's not right. That's just how you view it. And when you understand that there are many different ways to view a situation, which is why there are so many different outcomes, there are so many different types of resolutions, it helps you navigate through not only your relationship, but dealing with other people, because other people have other perspectives about things. You know, how you would read a book is different than how somebody else reads a book. Ironically, and this is slightly off topic, there are people that read books and don't highlight. As somebody who is a book reader and really loves highlighting and adding sticky notes and adding in like the thoughts that I was having when I read that to the book, it's like, why wouldn't you want to learn something and like really read it to understand? You're just reading it for entertainment. Like there are people that read books for entertainment. No, I read to grow, even if it's just like the Queenie book. Like I read that from a different perspective. I try to read it as though I'm that character. And I think I've been that way my whole life, whether it's reading a book or just reading people. I like to understand, how do you think? Because coming from an only child, single parent background, I don't really get to adventure into other people's perspectives. It was just me and the 12 characters that I created in my mind. Like,
oh, I better
don't. They're healed now. They're gone. They went on permanent vacation. But
they with somebody else, man. Find somebody else, man.
Period. Find somebody else to torture, okay? But I thoroughly enjoyed learning other people's perspectives. And I think when it came to you, it was very easy to kind of understand your perspective. One, because I grew up with only my mom, and then it was mainly women. And then stepping into your family that is mainly men, very alpha male, it's like, oh, this is how men think. And I'm like, men aren't necessarily wrong in their thinking, but y'all are very much so. Let's figure out the resolution. Let's figure out the solution. Let's figure out how this thing can be checked off of the box so we can move on to another thing. We can close another chapter and move on. And women are like, yeah, but I still feel it. I still want to talk about it. And I want to come back and keep touching on it because that emotion tied to that perspective has not
been resolved.
Right. And for us, it's about, you're fine. I love when you finish my sentences, boo. But yes, I touched you.
I mean, you can keep going.
But it's just, women go about things differently, and getting that other perspective, especially from a male, is so helpful because it shows us like, emotions are good, but it's time and place. Every moment of every day. And that's something that we tell Autumn all the time. Your emotions have to be in control because there are going to be moments where we don't have time to cry. And it's not to say that you're not allowed to cry. It's just in that moment, we don't have enough like human time, enough linear time to cry in this moment because we have to get to a resolution quicker than we can sit there and make room for your tears.
And that's why you got to know both sides. You got to know when to apply logic and when to apply emotion.
Right, because you're in the middle of a game, okay? You're in the middle of a championship. Back to sports preferences. We're in the middle of a championship. If we give you 5 minutes to cry, we've lost 5 minutes on the court.
Right.
We don't have time for that because every minute counts in this moment. And, if it was another moment, we're just at home and you felt baby cry. Cry, release. But in this conflict, we have to learn how to muscle through things and keep going. And I think that was the turning point for our marriage when I got to the point where, I stopped wanting to hear my own voice in our conflict. It's like, no, I want to hear what you have to say because I've worked out, being a overthinker, you work out 16 different possibilities on how this conversation can go. Well, if he says this, and I'm going to say this. If he does this, I'm going to do this. And you come up with all of these ways where you can swindle and swing this conversation to go your way.
Right.
And then when you realize that you truly cannot control anybody but yourself, and trying to manipulate every outcome, every possibility, when the uncontrollable variable is that other person,
Yeah.
you drive yourself nuts. Because you can't control how they're going to say, what they're going to say, when they're going to say it, because they may say what you think they're going to say, but not in the way.
Right.
Now you're reacting to how they said it and not what they said. Because
Right.
you trained yourself with what they were going to say, but not how they were going to say it.
Right. Like, I think a big thing that people have to understand, like, there's a misconception when it comes to arguments, that
Right.
people feel like they have to win an argument. There is no winning in an argument.
Right.
Because if you win, then your partner or that other person is left feeling some type of way.
Right.
And that right there is an immediate loss.
Right.
So when you seek to understand, that's when you learn. That's when you get a dub.
Right.
And then at that point, both of y'all walk away healed, and
Right.
it's a win-win.
Right.
Right. There's like arguments are just, it's completely blown out of proportion.
Correct.
Because people just lack self-control.
Yeah.
And lack just, the importance of getting to know somebody else. Everybody
Right.
just has their own agenda.
Right.
And if we can get past that and just try to understand, oh my God, this world will be such a better place. But
Right. Because
you know.
people argue points for points. No, this is my opinion versus your opinion, and I'm telling you why my opinion is better. Honey, the way that we have conversations, it's not about saying, oh, my opinion is better than yours or my perspective is better than yours.
Yeah.
It's, I'm just trying to get clarity. Show your work. That's how our quote unquote arguments are. It's show your work,
Pretty much.
meaning how did you come to that conclusion based on this circumstance, based on this conversation, based on this situation? How did you come to that realization? Walk me through your thought process.
Yeah.
Because if we have to get tested in this area again, because obviously this whole situation was a test. This moment right here was a heat check for us to make us realize, like, oh, we didn't master that mission. So let's put our heads together and figure out where we missed it.
Yeah.
Or if you missed it or I missed it, and then let's get at each other's perspective, because we know based on our beliefs, and based on how we choose to govern our marriage and our life, hey, we're gonna have to repeat this. Let's not repeat it and be
Yes.
on the, okay, we have to learn this again. Like, let's not make this a cycle.
Yeah.
Let's make this so we learned, oh, we peeped it a mile away. Now we're not going down that track, babe. What you
Right.
think? Like,
Right.
that's how we move through our quote unquote arguments
Right.
now.
And I'll give y'all a logical example of how you can start to control your emotions. So that way, when you approach arguments, you're a little bit more relaxed and poised. So, for example, you wake up in the morning and you stub your toe on the bed, right? Most people's reaction, you're going to cuss at the bed.
Right.
Now your day has started off with this negative energy. You've put it out there. And you can be religious as you want. You can be as spiritual as you want. You can be as atheist as you want.
Right.
Law is law, okay? So you put that negative energy out there. So now you're late. You're rushing out. Somebody cuts you off. You honk at them. You cuss. And now you have this perpetual just loop of negativity that keeps popping up in your day. And you're
Right.
like, what is going on? It's the same thing when it comes to arguing.
Correct.
You bring that attention or you bring that energy towards your partner. Most people, they have a tipping point.
Correct.
Try Jesus, don't try human.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is they're going to meet you right where you at.
Right.
Rather than you approach it with a more calm behavior, calm attitude,
Yeah.
calm tone, where you can try to find understanding rather than trying to infiltrate with your agenda.
Right.
It's a whole different approach. And I promise you, if you take that approach, then you'll see people losing their self-control while you stay poised and you realize, wow,
Right.
I had the power the whole time.
Right.
And that person is losing sleep at night. And at the end of the day, it's like, look, I got the understanding that they may still feel disrupted in their spirit, but we left with a resolution.
Right.
And because they didn't get their agenda of, I wanted to throw out all of the rah-rah, but we actually got to a resolution, and now you're challenging somebody else to grow.
Right.
It's just evolution that you need to start getting to the bottom of.
Right.
When it comes to conflict resolution. Like, for me, I've kind of been pro my whole life. My family, we have a strong background in what's called Kingian nonviolence. So, just hearing some of these methods to approach conflicts has just been surrounded by me, my brothers, and, it's not like committed it to memory, but what it did teach me is that there's another way.
Right.
There's always another way to skin a cat. So I've always had this poised approach to heightened conversations, arguments, or conflicts.
Yeah.
And, playing sports, it helps you control your emotions because, you drop a ball on one player, you miss a shot on one play, you got to forget that.
Right.
And go make a play on the other end.
Right.
Because things can happen, they can change that quickly, and so can it in an argument, people can lose self-control, and
Yeah.
you guys can get to an understanding so much quicker than you allowing yourself to get out of control.
Yeah.
Because now you're involving other people around you that can hear you because you got elevated voices.
Right.
Now somebody feels like their ego is tried and a weapon is pulled.
Right.
It's like, wow, how do we even get here?
Right.
So
just losing control. And to piggyback on your example of stubbing your toe, these are principles that we also teach our kids.
Yeah.
And those principles are how you start your day with controlling your emotions or not controlling your emotions is how the rest of your day is going to go. So the reason why I said and starting this off and saying y'all might look at us as woo-woo or, people that literally are professional gardeners is that now, back in the day, and we'll give you examples of, back then to now, but how we handle circumstances now is we understand that everything is happening for us, not to us.
Right.
So when we stub our toe in the morning, we're not looking at it as an inconvenience. We're looking at it as, oh, that had to happen because something was happening, in a different time framing, in a different timeline that had we not stubbed our toe, it wouldn't have held us up.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have sat on the bed and examined if this was we need to wrap up the toe situation, or we can just put a Band-Aid on, or there's no need for extra care.
Right.
We can just keep going. There was a reason why we got held up, because had we not taken that 10 minutes to examine that moment or really take a back seat to that moment and move a little bit slower, we would have left 10 minutes earlier or on time and gotten a car accident.
Right.
We look at everything as happening for us. We don't look at things as this is an inconvenience.
Right.
And I think that changing our perspective and how we view quote unquote setbacks, like when we got evicted, that was a setback for most people. But for us, we understood that what we asked Source for, what we said that we wanted to manifest, the life that we said we wanted to live, cost us our old mentality. It cost us our
Right.
old comforts. And in order for you to grow, you have to understand that there is going to be a cost. Nothing in life is free.
Right.
There is a cost everywhere, and that cost could be your self-control. That cost could be your relationship, because you don't know what type of day that person or your opponent is having or your partner is having. They could have had a really crappy day, and you coming at them with that one little tone, that one little word, that one little thing, that one little low blow could have
Yep.
set them off, because you truly don't know. You could have crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's as far as, well, if he says this and I'm gonna say this, if he does this, I'm gonna do this. And you could have covered yourself with 30 different possibilities.
Yeah.
And one possibility you didn't consider is that when he got home today, whether he came home from work, he came home from meeting his friends, or he just got off the phone with, a family member that told him some bad news, you don't know what programs are already running in that person's mind.
Yeah.
So when you come with guns blazing to a fight that you really aren't truly equipped for, you set yourself up to potentially be the pot stirrer rather than the resolution-based
Right.
person. And in our marriage, I realized that I was constantly the pot stirrer, and that is not even my natural role. I didn't like being vulnerable. I didn't like somebody having something on me without me being able to defend myself, because it's like, I know now, but back then I knew that I was very easily misunderstood. And I was misunderstood because at the time, I was this oversized, dimpled-faced girl who presumably was sweet.
Yeah.
But then when you pissed me off, everybody knew. Anybody that knew the old version of me knew that Brittany is the sweetest person in the world. She will literally give you the clothes off her back. I kid you not. I was the person that would take my shirt off. If you want this shirt, baby, here. You want this jacket, here. You want my purse, I will go get a Kroger bag, throw all my stuff in my purse in that bag, and give you the purse if that's what
Used
you
to
want.
Piss me off, man.
Man, my mama too. But I was just that person. But it's like, we knew that part. But then if you piss her off, oh, baby, you better pack your bags and go, because she's never going to let you live that moment down. Like, you're going to hear every syllable of her mouth.
Right.
And that characteristic was very hard for me to keep wearing, because although I was arguing my best arguments with my husband and so many other people, I would literally go back and internalize that moment. And I would critique myself on how bad I let myself get out of character. So while I was hurting someone else, I was also scolding myself at the same time. So
Right.
it was a double whammy of like, I'm stabbing you, but I'm turning around and stabbing myself because I'm beating myself up because I knew that I lost self-control. And after doing that for 2 decades, I realized this is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to be the bad guy and the sad girl at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
you gotta pick one.
you have to pick one. So I decided that I had to heal for the sake of my marriage because I'm intuitive and I felt my husband pulling back energetically. I felt him, not necessarily pulling back in the sense where he's like, okay, I don't want to be with you anymore, but pulling back in the sense of trying. And I think that's the most dangerous place to be in a marriage, when you recognize your partner stopped trying.
Yeah.
And it was this video that had went viral. And it was this Caucasian couple who was doing a podcast. And the video clip that they put up, which I thought was very interesting, because I'm like, I want to hear the whole conversation because that little clip that went viral. We need details. We need supporting evidence. And in the video, the guy was saying, the husband was saying, I reached a point now where if I tell you, babe, I'm going with my guys to Vegas. And he was like, your response would be like, go ahead. And she was like, correct, go ahead, because I don't care anymore. I don't care about what you're doing. And a lot of people took that as, bro, you lost her.
Right.
She's already at the point where she's given up, but that's the most dangerous place to be, when she's not even saying, I want a divorce. When he's not even saying, I don't want to be together anymore. When you're just sitting.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not trying to keep you. I'm not trying to push you out. Baby, if you want to go to Vegas with your friends and get drunk and high, baby, go to Vegas and get drunk and high. When you've given up and you're not trying, that's worse, because that means that you've lost that person spiritually.
Yeah.
And when you've broken that spiritual
It's a bad
connection, it's a bad place to be. And conflict can get you there because you get tired of saying the same thing in the same ways to somebody who's committed to not getting it.
Yeah.
Obviously, because you keep saying it. And then it's like, you know what? I'm tired.
Yeah.
You can have it. I'm not arguing with you no more. And we both got there at different times in our marriage where we were like, you know what? I'm done. Like,
Right.
You got it. And it was Bay first. He got there right at the tail end of our first healing moment. Like, he wanted to get us out of our circumstance. At the time, we were living at my mom's. Right after we got married, our marriage foundation was insane. Let's just start there. How we started our marriage, that's going to take a whole nother podcast with 20 episodes for that season, just to talk to you
Just to
about
dissect it.
what led into the moment getting to the altar of saying I do, because it was chaotic.
Yeah.
But the day after that, our life began. October 8th, 2016.
That was 2016.
That was
Yeah.
2016,
I
October
had to check
8th.
my tech.
Yeah. We got married on the 7th, but October 8th, 2016 was the beginning of our 8-year cycle. And this year, actually, we are closing out, finally, this chaotic beginning of an 8-year cycle.
Yeah.
But when we started at my in-laws' house, Bay's parents, and we were there for a few months. Literally, we were there for 8 months.
We were there for 8 months.
We were there for 8 months and went to my mom's after that for 5 years.
Yeah.
We brought a baby into that house. We had 2 kids in that house. We've had our most heated physical arguments in that house. We've healed. We've gone through so much and went through so much in that 5-year time.
Yeah.
But towards the ending of our time there, a switch went off in Bay's head. And he was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I know that in order for you to be the wife that I know you can be, the woman I know you can be, we can't be here.
Yeah.
Because you can't heal in an environment that you have to heal from.
Right.
It's counterproductive. So I got to get you out. And him really changing the thermostat, like, he went heavy into personal development. And this is coming from somebody who really didn't have that example, around him in his upbringing. He had examples of communication and nonviolence and all of that, but it wasn't, and hypermasculinity, but it wasn't what he needed to get us out of there peacefully.
Right.
So him changing that thermostat forced me to come up, because I'm like, oh, no, you're changing the playing field. You're changing the rules now. And the rules were I got to be the loud bulldog and you just took it. You were the punching bag. And he was like, yeah, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that narrative. I'm just gonna let you have it. So he started doing the, oh, okay, babe. Okay, you got it. My bad. I messed up. My bad. And me, as a strong Taurus, independent Black woman from New York, I was like, no, you're not finna just stand out from an argument, fight back. And he's like, I'm not doing that anymore. That's played. It's tired.
Right.
It never gets us to where we need to be. It further just completes the argument, and I don't want to do that. We're too grown. We have 2 kids. We're all in the same room. It's been 5 years. We got to grow up.
Yeah.
And when he changed that thermostat, whoo!
I just knew I had this feeling the same way it was like when we first met. It was just this understanding.
Yeah.
And I had that understanding, like how you mentioned, you can't heal in an environment that you have to heal from.
Yeah.
So all of that times where you was, throwing punches at me, I'm like, I know where this is coming from. I know where it's stemming from. So I'm not taking it personally. If she says something, regardless of the delivery, if she says something that's factual, okay, I'm grown enough to, eat the meat, spit out the bones, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was doing my own personal development, so I had my own armor, that helped me, get through that moment, the low blows and things like that. I'm like, I know I could take this one way, but until we get out on our own, don't take it personal. And as soon as we got out, as soon as we moved into our apartment from that 5-year period being at her mom's, Brittany got to work. And I'm calling you Brittany because, like, we gotta we gotta solidify
I will karate chop you.
Who did that. You did that, babe.
Thank you.
And you are a walking reflection of the work, like, in every way, shape, or form. Like, if there was an Olympics for healing, you would be Sha'Carri.
Oh,
right?
Period.
Yeah.
I like that.
Man, so.
But you have to give yourself credit, though, because you were an amazing coach. And I feel like athletes are great, yes, because they have the talent. But in order for you to be an iconic athlete, you have to have a great coach, because you have to see somebody that can see you and help you push past all of the self-doubt in your head.
Right.
And I feel like Sha'Carri, Noah, so many Gabby, so many of these people, even LeBron, so many of these people are incredible athletes because they had great coaching. And I feel like you were an amazing coach for me.
Thank you.
Because you showed me another perspective. You helped me really unlock a completely different perspective about how to navigate my own internal conflict.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest things why people argue, because they have so much internal turmoil and unresolved within themselves and so much dis-ease in themselves that when you eliminate that dis-ease within yourself, then external conflict becomes childish.
Right.
It'd be like, why am I arguing with you? You have a different program than me. You're literally operating on a Microsoft Office platform, baby. I don't even have that program. Like, you're on an Android program. I'm on an Apple iOS we're not even speaking the same
way
at all, because y'all got little animated lyrics and animations on your Android. I don't have that.
Right.
I don't have that. So I'm not gonna argue with you bar for bar. I'm not doing it, because it's only going to result in miscommunication.
Yep.
And until we both can abandon our softwares and really get to the point of, you know what, let's just build our own.
Yep.
And that's what we did.
Yep.
We started to realize that the old way of handling communication, based on how we were raised, based on our environment, based on how we saw our parents, and, even some of our peers in their marriages handle communication, I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And it made us uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, so rather than say we're going to raise our kids the way that we, think we should have been raised, we first had to understand that our kids are not us.
Yep.
They look very much so like us. They act very much so like us, but they're writing their own story.
Right.
And in order for us to be sufficient parents, and in order for us to be sufficient examples, we have to truly customize how we view conflict. We have to customize how we view resolution. We have to customize how we view parenting and navigating through this life, because we can't parent or live a life based on the lack that we didn't receive from our parents, because this is not their story anymore.
Yep.
They are not main characters in our story. They were before when we were the kids, but we're the adults now.
Yep.
And we get to pick and choose what variables are within our conflict, what variables are within our story. And when you start taking back that power from external people, it helps you navigate conflict differently. And I don't mean conflict because everybody thinks conflict is negative. There is just sometimes a conflict of interest, meaning your environment can be conflicting. You
Right.
could be very healed in an unhealed environment. That's conflicting. That's a conflict. And conflict is not always rooted in negativity. It's rooted in two unlike things that are trying to make it work and it's just not working. That's a conflict. It's a difference of structure. It's a difference of opinion. It's a difference of matter versus mass or whatever the case is. Like it's just different.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with those conflict differences, but also not feel like you have to lessen yourself or promote yourself to kind of fit it. No. It's okay to agree to disagree.
Right.
It doesn't mean that one person won and one person lost. It just means that, well, in this moment, we're still individually holding on to our beliefs. And we believe that our belief is sufficient. And you believe your belief is sufficient, and that's okay.
Right.
We can just agree to disagree that we're never going to align in that way. Perfect example, our parents, individually based parents, and my parents are very religious. We are not religious people. And although we both grew up in an aspect of the church, me more so than Bay,
Yeah.
we are not religious people. And we don't have no ill will towards people that believe in religion. We have no judgment, no criticism, no nothing. We've done that. That just didn't serve us.
Right.
And our parents have a very hard time embracing the fact that religion is no longer part of our lives. And it's like, we're not saying we believe in a different God than you. It's just, we just have a conflict of certain beliefs within the religious realm. That doesn't mean that our belief system is better or worse than yours or yours is better or worse than ours. It's just different. And we respect their differences. If you want to blast, your program on the TV, do that.
Right.
We have no problem with that. But then when we have our conversations and you're triggered, we're not standing on our quote unquote stoop to make you feel less than. If that's how you're taking it, then that's something you have to work out
Right.
conflictly in
Yourself.
right. But we are at the point where we move and thrive in agreeing to disagree. And it's just, hey, that's just your belief. That's your preference. If that's what gets you to sleep at night, kudos to
Right.
you. That's
I care about everybody's well-being.
Right.
Like, I see it as I'm a reflection of you. You are a reflection of me.
Correct.
So I just want the utmost for you.
right.
In every way. Like
Right.
that's why I love every neighbor. As much as some of these political people in our lives are doing things. At the end of the day, I love them. I don't necessarily
Right.
agree
Right.
with their decision making and their behaviors,
Right.
but on a human bare minimum level, yeah, I love you.
Yeah.
And that's how we view it. There's no judgment.
Yeah.
It's just we've been exposed to things now that have changed our beliefs, and
Right.
our beliefs have to work for us.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, me and my wife are a team, and we have to move forward to raise our children in a world where they are going to have to experience these things for themselves.
Correct.
And we have to do our best to set them up and not force feed them beliefs. And this is
Right.
how you need to look at things. It's just, we need to be as best examples for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then as a married couple, so that our children can see something that's operating successfully.
Right.
Despite how we choose to communicate, whether we want to communicate in religious aspects or we want to communicate in our ways that we believe now, at the end of the day, our children are seeing a successful marriage that they can use as a model. They can take
Right.
and pick from. I'm not asking them to take every little thing. It's just,
Right.
hey, this is what works for us. If you want
Right.
to use it, sure, try to apply it and try to put your spin on it. At the end
Right.
of the day, we still try to guide them to do what works best for them,
Right.
because you have to learn how to communicate for yourself, so that way you know what to bring to the table for your partner,
Right.
and how you guys are going to merge and grow your family.
Right.
So we're not the influenceable type. Just because somebody says something, that's what you do.
Right.
No, we got to pay our own bills, and if you're
Right.
not willing to do that,
Right.
I'm not willing to sip your Kool-Aid.
Right. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that I love about our relationship and just our friendship more than anything is we recognize what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we're not afraid to start over. And I think that alone intimidates people.
Mm.
And I think that when we were going through the whole eviction, the amount of people that were literally clutching their pearls and I'm gonna hold your hand and and we were like, bro, we good. Like where's the crown? Like, bro,
we're not attached.
We're
to
not
the same
attached,
things.
right? Like there's just things that we understand that they were necessary to happen, and although it was a conflict in where we rooted our security,
right,
we understand that. Oh, okay, well, this is just time to rebuild, and I think that grit and that resilience is kind of what intimidates people when it comes to us as a couple. And then to throw it in there, we have 2 kids that are just as gritty as us. Like if we're like, okay, we're gonna move out the country, like, okay, bet. So are we doing affirmations to get there? Are we manifesting to get there? Like, what are we doing? Are we doing our chief aim statement? Like, how are we doing this? Are we drawing pictures? What are we doing to get on board with you?
Right.
And our children are 9 and 5 years old. And they get it to that level. Like they understand, and after they ask their questions, like making sure that they don't suppress it, meaning they're like, okay, so is it because I asked for a Nintendo Switch? No, we're not. We didn't get evicted because we had to make room for something that you asked for. Oh, okay, so now they understand it's not their fault. Okay, boom. So now we can move forward. And I think that our ability to pick up and go and pick up and move forward or pick up and rebuild is a lot for most people to wrap their minds around, because we understand the life that we've asked for, and we know that there were certain things that we had to master before we got to that life, and conflict was one of those things. If y'all knew the old versions of us and how we used to get down in our arguments,
man,
oh my God,
we wouldn't even be on no podcast.
We wouldn't. We probably would be under the jail. Like our arguments used to be so explosive. It was bad, and I think the horrible thing about it is we didn't care who was around. Like we were literally on our way to Apache one time. It's like a night poetry open mic situation in downtown Atlanta. And when we were going there, my cousin was in the back seat. And me and Bae were having a full-blown argument. I mean, explosive. This man is driving at night in the middle of downtown Atlanta, okay? There's nothing but homeless people and cops outside at this point, and drug dealers, okay? And we're in like we're in downtown Atlanta, okay? If you know where Apache is, you know, okay? Old Apache. I don't know what they did with this new, regentrification mess, but I'm talking about old Atlanta, okay? Early 2000s Atlanta. And we're sitting in the car driving and having an explosive argument, like fingers in the face, screaming at each other like baby boy type, It just argue. And my cousin's in the back seat, and she's just listening. And then we get to where we need to be, and we're just like, "Okay, you ready to go?" And she's like, "Y'all are psychotic. Y'all literally." She was like, "I was scared for my life in the back seat, and y'all just casually just ended the conversation with no resolution, no nothing. Y'all just, okay, we're here, let's go." She's like, "I need to collect my feelings because that was, and this is real, like we're not exaggerating. This is exactly how this conversation went." And we were like, "Oh girl, we do this all the time." And she's like, "That's toxic." And I think that in that moment, we heard it spiritually before we heard it audibly, like in literal terms, like that's toxic. Like, we just literally just went down to like your mama level. Like we went down to a DNA atom level of tearing each other apart. Mostly me. And then it's like, "Okay, baby, you ready to go? Let's go." What you mean? That is psychotic. And we went in there, had the time of our lives. You would have never thought that we argued. And it's weird explaining our dynamic to other people because they were like, "Y'all are really toxic." And I'm like, yes and no. Like we get it, and it's not fair because we had to heal from all of the damage that we did to each other. But what we value now is literally clarity. We value understanding each other's perspective because we understand that unlike most marriages, there is no out. Divorce is not an option, and people say that to kind of guilt themselves into staying into a marriage. No. Our union is like DNA atom level intertwined to the point where like, no.
It's more spiritual than physical.
It's more spiritual. It's like, no, we have a very important mission. And the fact that, our bowler hat team, our little FBI team, as we call it, allowed this to happen, it's like, Nah, I feel like our angels and our spirit team worked really hard to let this happen. So we can't disappoint. We can't disappoint the squad. Like we gotta heal and we gotta stay healed. And now we have 2 dependents, 2 kids looking at us. Like now we have an audience. And now we have, thank all of you for over 500,000 fans, followers, and internet tribe people looking at us with, man, y'all be looking at us with like detailed rat tail combs, binoculars with the zoom on them. Like y'all literally microing in on our lives from arguing in comments over, what is that, 14 million views on a video?
Yeah.
And y'all are going back and forth in the comments about like my tattoo being there and disappearing in this clip, but not in this clip, and how it's skewed and AI this and he married it. And y'all be micromanaging us. So we have responsibilities now.
Yeah.
We have people looking at us now. And it's deeper than just getting it for us. We have extensions. We have people that are affected by our ability to literally tell the truth about our relationship to help them.
Right.
To be an example for them. And because of that, we don't take this lightly. Like we don't take this as, oh, we're just on social media to get a bag and share our love and then hate each other off camera. Nah, baby, what you see when the camera presses record is the same thing you see when you press off on that recorded camera. Like
all day.
This is
as
who we
people
are.
that eavesdrop, we've been around so many different cliques. Like we've worked the same jobs before. Like so there are a lot of witnesses.
Yes.
And if you scroll through enough comments, you'll see people like, oh, I remember y'all in high school.
Yes.
Oh, I remember you when y'all worked at Best Buy. Or I remember y'all when y'all went on this brand trip.
Yes.
Like,
we're
people
the same.
know us, and it's not to brag or boast, but it's to really let you know that we are living what we talk about. Like
we walk the talk.
We are walking it like we talk it.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been intentional. Everything has been intentional. Like, yeah, we may do some funny moments just to, keep the algorithm going and stay relevant.
Yeah.
But we out here doing work. This is missionary work for our brothers and sisters that are really trying to find love, that are really involved in their partners and want to see the best.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, like, yes, I am invested for you all as well because we understand our mission.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, babe, you are really like my highest priority. You are my pupil. Like I look at you because it's like, man, she has so much to offer.
Yeah.
It would be irresponsible of me to have the knowledge that I have and not share it with her.
Yeah.
Because maybe she can see something like differently. She picks up things. It kind of pisses me off. If there's anything that she does to piss me off, it's the fact that she can pick up something and master it within a week. Give her a week. She don't need the 10,000 hours.
Nah.
She only need one conversation and she can do it better than you.
Man, listen, that's why I couldn't stay at a job because they got upset. You finished all your work in the first 2 hours? Yes. Yes, because I wanted the rest of my 6 hours to be donated to scrolling and eating. And then going in the bathroom and taking a nap. Like, what you mean? Like, no, I wanted to get all this done. Did you do it right? Yes, I did. And I did extra. I organized on top of that because I don't have time. My time is precious.
Only my wife.
Listen, you're an amazing coach. I need you to know that. And I have to say this before we conclude, but I need y'all to know, if we have to, like, humanly speaking, on paper, I have 2 college degrees. And I know for some people that is like, oh my gosh. Like, on paper, I'm quote unquote smarter than my husband on paper. And I don't mean that to put myself on a pedestal, but if people look at, oh, well, who's more educated? If y'all want to weigh it on educated, show my work. Yes, I am quote unquote more educated than my husband, but I have learned so much about life, so much about how women are from my husband. I have learned so much about being a woman from you.
That's wild.
Right.
Hey, yo, pause.
not in on the scene way, like no homo, no Diddy.
No Diddy.
That man, we're in that era now, But it's just like I have learned so much about who I am, and not in a woman in the sense of, kind of in a sense of like how my body is made up, because my husband was a hoe back in the day, but just knowing how to be soft and be firm and confident in my softness. Like I feel like Angela Bassett, whole time I'm Aunt Jemima, baby, I'm in the kitchen whipping up some syrup, okay? But I have the energy of Angela Bassett. I feel in charge and in command and in control while still being soft. I don't have to run around with, Angela Bassett and Tina Turner arms to let you know that I am a force.
Right.
I am a Black woman. I am independent. I don't have to use my physical to let him know my position as a woman. My softness is received just as seriously and just as intentionally as if I was running around saying, you better listen to me. You need to hear my voice. Do you understand what I used to do that. I used to literally throw around my weight, almost 300 pounds of it. Don't do that.
Sorry, it just kind of slipped.
Yeah, we laugh about it, but just throwing around my almost 300 pounds and throwing around my education and throwing around like how much I knew and how better that I was than him. Like I used to throw that around and wear it like a badge of honor.
Right, with no self-control.
With no self-control. Like,
sound silly.
Look silly sitting here eating a whole daggone Marco's pizza by myself and sitting here screaming at you like, you need to get your life together. Do I? Is it me that you're searching for? Like,
why don't you wipe your mouth with your degree?
And I learned so much about how I can still be a force to be reckoned with, but still not coming off of my femininity.
Right.
And between you and Autumn came out the womb soft, but fierce at the same time. She was like, no, I'm dainty, but don't mess with me.
Right.
And it wasn't because of how she said things. It wasn't because of how she did things. It wasn't her literally throwing around her weight. It was literally just I'm here. And my presence is going to do the talking for me. Yeah. And I have learned so much from you, but I've learned so much from our daughter.
Right.
To just stand in my femininity and my softness and my pink girl era. Like I am heavily in my pink girl era.
That's crazy.
I am in my very soft, I want to wear dresses all the time and, shorts underneath because just in case we got to work out. I am very much so in that crossing of the legs, very soft energy, and I have to let you know I appreciate that.
Man, thank you.
Because you have allowed me to peel back those layers and be more vulnerable just on how you maneuver through conflict, how you maneuver through life throwing darts at you, especially as a Black man. Like you definitely taught me how to stand firm on who I am without having to scream Black Lives Matter every 5 minutes. Like you've helped me in such a great way. You have been the best coach.
Thank you, baby. Jeez.
I'm just saying, like, if I don't leave this earth with no type of nothing, I can definitely leave the mark and the legacy of saying, like, I was Dorian McKell Alvin's best pupil.
It's my prodigy.
I was the best one because he said, do, and I did it, and boom.
That's what's up. I mean, I'm still learning too, but thank you.
I got more spiritual degrees than I do paper degrees. Boy.
Right.
Just from you.
That's a bar.
Just from you.
Dang.
Don't try to steal my words.
I'll just do like it's committed to memory.
I love you.
I love you, baby.
And we love y'all.
Yeah.
Very
much. Thank you guys for tuning in to another one. This was a lot of we gave y'all a lot of nuggets. Dang.
We do.
You sure we can't charge them? It's a whole therapy session.
It is therapy. And that's why we created this podcast, because we wanted to kind of talk through some things with y'all to really help, because the messages that we get from y'all asking us questions about how are you able to get through this? Because y'all talked about this on your YouTube and this episode I saw and y'all were talking about this. How did you make it through that? This is the blueprint that y'all can replay, listen to, share, save on exactly how we were able to maneuver through things that would tear most friendships at a base level, just friendships apart. And we've managed to really find a formula that works for us. And we're not saying to take what we do and go duplicate it and, make it yours. No, the same thing we tell our kids: observe what worked for us and then insert yourself and your characteristics and your interests and you into that circumstance. So if you like it, don't identically copy it, because there are certain details about us that kind of made that circumstance work. You have to fill in your details and then build from there. Set your foundation, set your, this is what's tolerated, this is what's not, and then build from there and just use the influence around you to kind of help you tell your story. Not take over, but just help you kind of fine tune the details of your own life story.
Yeah, I love that.
It's that easy.
I love that. I do have a practical takeaway exercise for you guys.
Yes.
This is me. Like I'm the teacher.
This is Coach Kell.
I'm gonna give you the homework because it's not no one size fits all thing. It's not
Right.
you just gonna listen to a podcast, get some yes. It's not just
snapping.
that, right? That's not gonna change your marriage. That's not gonna change
Yeah.
you. Let's work
Yeah.
on you first. Before you even apply this concept to anybody else in terms of conflict resolution, you need to resolve the conflict within yourself.
Yes.
So here's what you do. Tomorrow, when you wake up, go all day with this neutral observing mindset. All right.
Right.
So act like you are outside of yourself, watching yourself, kind of like a game character,
Yes.
Grand Theft Auto style, right? And you want to observe what happens throughout your day and list out how you would react. Like take a mental note. Dang, I would have said something right here. Or I would have cussed that person out. Or I would have said something slick right here. Start noticing those little things.
Yes.
Because now what you're doing is uncovering the program of
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Right? And when you uncover that program, now you can start to make modifications. You can literally hack your subconscious. You can
Yeah.
hack your reality. And this is where my wife said, "Oh, y'all gonna think we woo-woo." No, this is real life.
It is.
And it has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with praising some crystals and nothing. This is just observing who you are at
Correct.
this present time so that you can start to change characteristics that's going to align with where you want to go.
Right.
With the person that you want to be for your husband or your wife or for your children, whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
for the most part, for you,
Yeah.
change you, and then you'll start to attract those experiences around you that match who you are internally.
Right.
So go with an observer's attitude. If you can string it together for one day, you can do it for the next. It's
Right.
going to be difficult at first because you're going to want to have those knee-jerk reactions.
Because it's new.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything new is hard, but just like driving, you learn to do it. It's
Yeah.
hard at first, and then it becomes a rhythm. So learn the rhythm of you, and trust me, your marriage will fall in line. Your actions will fall in line.
Yes.
Everything. So that's the homework. That's the takeaway.
Yes. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Every
course.
time we get on here, it's healing.
Yeah.
Because talking it out helps.
Yeah. I'm a teacher. I got to talk it out. I'm a audio processor.
I love it. Thank y'all so much, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.